Hi everybody, it's Zach here again. This week's gonna be a little weird because it's gonna be late. It's gonna be not me in front of the camera because I had some requests on showing a little bit of technique on what I do. So I've recorded way too much footage of me preparing these models, so I'm going to chop that up into something more palatable. So as you can see right now, I'm currently painting the zombie dragon with like a flesh color. I'm doing this because the airbrushing that I did last week did not turn out the color that I wanted it to turn out. So originally I thought I was going to be dry brushing that flesh color on, but I decided pretty much partway through that the color looked better as like a solid color than it did dry brushing. Explaining technique a little bit, dry brushing is when you take a brush and you wipe most of the paint off of it and you just kind of like go at it with the brush, and then you get it everywhere. But as you can see, I was wiping paint off over by my thumb. It didn't turn out how I wanted it to, so I eventually decided that I was just going to make it a solid color. So I'm gonna cut to that real quick. All right, as you can see, I've gotten him mostly painted there. He's gotten a good solid coat of paint on him. And as you can see right there, I'm using a different brush than what I'm using to paint with, because if you use the same brush, you'll basically ruin the brush you're using by getting paint all up into the bits and bobs of the brush, so you can't keep a tip on it. Also, those new Citadel paint pots are killing me. So I'm going to cut here in a second to me doing some washing, because I let him sit for a little bit so that I could let the paint dry, because you don't want to wash on wet paint because it just gets pretty gross looking. Although he is a zombie dragon, so you know. Alright, so this is me starting to wash. I'm using a wash called Seraphim Sepia. It's by Games Workshop. I really like how it turned out, but this is just a little bit of the wash technique. There's basically no technique when you're washing something like this. If you're trying to just get the crevices and stuff of something, there's a little bit more technique to it. But if you're washing skeletons for a darker shade, it's not particularly, what would you call it? It's not particularly hard to do, so you just go at it. There's not much technique. What a wash is it's a thinned down ink. So it ended up turning out really, really good looking, and I can see people who didn't want to put any more effort into it just using a wash on the on something like a skeleton, because it's simple, it's quick. You paint the skeleton white, you wash it the sepia color, and it looks like old bone. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Alright, as you can see here, I've started to take the skeletons off the little sticks I had them for airbrushing. They were stuck on there with a little bit of blue tack because the airbrush would just knock them right over. It was probably a dumb idea to be painting them while they were on the stick, because it was hard to get to places. So, you know, that was the first time I've done that, so it'll be, you know, something learned in the future. Alright, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit again. But as you can see, the skeletons have started to dry with their wash on them, and they're starting to look really, really good. Next week I'll have a video that I've already, well, I guess since it'll come out this week, I'll talk about that in the end. Alright, as you can see here, I'm starting to wash some of the horses. It's basically the same thing I was doing with the skeletons. This is just, I'm just popping in quick to show you a little bit of everything. And then I'm going to pop back in with me starting to wash the dragon. As you can see here, I'm washing the bone on the dragon. I had forgotten that my phone died towards the end of recording this, because I record on my phone. And I lost all of the video of me washing the webbing. So I'm just going to post here at the end and talk over a couple photos, I suppose. And we're going to talk about a little bit about what I've done, and a little bit about what I plan to do. And this is really sped up, but this is like 2 hours worth of footage cut together. And if you guys really enjoy watching me paint, which I don't see why you would like to see the back of my hand most of the time, so if you guys enjoy watching me paint, I would stream it if people watched. And I've streamed it before, but nobody watches, so it's just the time and setup is worth. It just cuts into my painting time. So here I'm going to cut to a photo from I took with my phone of the dragon after it's been washed, and then I'm going to cut to a photo of it after it's been dry brushed with the colors, because it turned out really good looking. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the dragon after it's been washed. You can see that the bone looks like dark, dirty bone, and the flesh looks gross, like purple and septic. And that's not what I kind of wanted to go with, so I decided to just like heavily dry brush a purple over it. So the next photo, you're going to be able to see the bone dry brushed to more of a bleached color, and then the purple dry brush to just like a very vivid purple, because I don't like making my models look realistic. I like them kind of cartoony, I guess. Blame it on Warcraft, because I love Warcraft, and I like kind of bright colors on my models. And with that, I used to paint all my stuff drab as like an edgy teenager. But afterwards, when I started to hate myself a little less, I suppose, I liked to paint them bright colors, and one of my favorite colors is purple, so I like to paint a lot of stuff purple, which is why the Space Marines you saw were purple. I've got an infinity army of nomads all painted purple. So I'm going to go with the cloth on these guys, and like whatever rotten chunks of flesh on like the monsters is going to be purple. Although I might vary that up, because I also enjoy having a diversity in color in my models. So I might do one with red wings and stuff like that, because I like to be able to differentiate on the table which ones have what stuff on them. Like when I was playing War Machine, I wouldn't paint my units all the same color. I would paint each unit a different color. And one day I might pull that stuff out and paint some more of that. I've got most of a lot of my stuff painted, but I do have a big box of stuff sitting on my shelf here that's unpainted and partially assembled, mostly because I just didn't use it in games. But yeah, so now's the point where I talk about, where I want to head with this, and I complain about how this was out so late, because I'm very annoyed that it came out so late. I went to my parents' place this week, or I suppose it's the past week, because this will probably come out Monday evening. So, I do most of this on my 2 days off, which are in the middle of the week. And when I have to go somewhere or do something, I don't get the time to do this. Usually what I do is on Tuesday I'll paint a lot on that day, and then on not Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'll paint a lot on that day while my roommates are out, and then Thursday I'll record and display all the stuff and set up the camera and all that stuff. Next video will have better audio quality. This has better audio quality because I actually have a recording microphone that plugs into my computer, but not all the video I take is at my computer, so I can't really do that. But I had a friend who has a voice recorder, and she's lending me that, and then I picked up a lapel mic on Amazon for like $10. So I'm going to have better audio quality in the next videos, which I'm going to try to put 2 out, because I kind of want to put a short video of me talking about the new stuff that came out over the weekend, or the new stuff that was announced over the weekend. So look forward to both of those. This Tuesday, or I don't know, I might paint Tuesday. This week I've got to get on some more painting. Next week I'll have a little bit of a video about painting. I just did this because my friends that watch this specifically asked for more in-depth on how these techniques work. And I don't think this is particularly greatly in-depth. I just think that this is kind of good enough to show somebody who doesn't know what these terms I'm talking about when I talk about them in the hobby vlog. So next week I'm going to have a little bit of info on like different brushes for dry brushing, and I should have all of my skeletons dry brushed that are painted, I suppose. And I do want to start on the sepulchral guard that I've got. I do need to put down some sort of base coloring and washes, and I'd like to start painting equipment and bases on the main skeleton dudes. And I might get to painting the cloth on the horses. We'll see. The zombie dragon is mostly done by itself. I need to paint all the little bits and bobs coming off of him, and I need to paint the seat on his back, and I need to paint the base. I kind of like the way the base is looking, but it doesn't kind of fit exactly what I'm aiming for. So probably what I'll do is I'll take a dark gray and I'll paint everything dark gray and then dry brush a little white on it, like an iron hull gray or something like that. So that's it for this week's, although I suppose it was last week's by the time this comes out. And expect 2 more coming, because I'm going to work really hard at getting those done on my days off. So I'll see you next week.